Hi, so I have Daisy Beaton here, and she is known as the Garden Coffee Lady on Twitter. So there was this whole controversy over Daisy making a very happy post about her and her husband and how they wake up every morning, they bring their coffee to their garden, and they sit and talk for hours. And that's all Daisy said. And then there was this huge outbreak on Twitter of just a bunch of negative comments from all of this. And so this has gotten Daisy a lot of attention. And it's just been very interesting to see how everything has unfolded with people reacting this way towards somebody else's simple joys in life. So, yeah, I have Daisy here with me. And Daisy, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Daisy, and I currently live in Northern California with my husband and my cat. Um, we live in a really amazing spiritual yoga community. So we live super simply and minimally and in community, and a lot of people are uh, pretty much everybody is like really into meditation and yoga and just sustainable living, so we've kind of like adopted that lifestyle, which is really sweet. And yeah, we have a cat who's amazing. And um yeah, we both have careers that we really love. I have a cruelty-free beauty business and he teaches yoga, so yeah.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. I've been seeing just pictures of you at your beautiful garden, and it's seems so peaceful and just to have those simple joys in your life. And yeah, I just think that's so cool. Can you tell me a little bit more about your garden?
Yeah, so we moved into the community here about 2 years ago, and our garden that we have now was actually just a front lawn in the community. And this last year, we took out we didn't take it out. We did we planted regenerative garden beds this early spring, and so, since we put the garden into our front where our front lawn was, it's just become this really beautiful space that we spend all the time that we can in, because one, we worked so hard, and two, it's just so beautiful. And so yeah, we like to plant obviously vegetables and fruits, but also like native plants and pollinators to help with the ecosystem and all that kind of stuff. And we even got like a little table and chair that we sit at and have coffee. And oftentimes we eat dinner out there too. We spend so much time there, and it's beautiful.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. That seems like such a dream lifestyle for many people. And yeah, it's just so awesome that you can have like these very mindful practices and also enjoy your time in your garden and just have a lot of fun in the meantime. So, yeah, so I
Yeah.
know that you started calling yourself the Garden Coffee Lady as your Twitter header. Can you tell me a little bit, for those that are not in the loop, how this came to be?
Yeah. It's so funny because I was at my friend's house like the day that all of this was blowing up, and she was just like, "You have to change your username to that." And I was like, "That's so kind of like silly," but I like thought about it and I was like, "Okay, fine. Like that's funny. Like I guess people just know me as the Garden Coffee Lady." And like the original tweet was pretty wholesome, so I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll just change it like temporarily." So I thought that was cute. But yeah, it just kind of, like, blew up within, like, 10 hours of it posting. I posted it, I noticed that, like, a lot of people were, like, commenting and liking it, and it was kind of going a little viral. And, like, by the next day that I had posted it, it was just, like, totally blown up with lots of negativity and lots of, like, hate comments and people saying all kinds of, like, crazy stuff about me and my husband. Um, and that kinda continued, the negativity kinda continued for a little bit, but it got to the point by, like, day, like, 2 or 3 where, like, everybody was just coming in on the post and being like, "This is actually so cute and so nice," and, like, "Forget about all the haters," and, like, all of that stuff, and I feel like I mean, when I try to go into the tweet and, like, look for the negativity, I literally can't find negative comments anymore because 'cause there's been so many thousands of people that have just, like, drowned all of the, like, meanness in positivity and kindness and love, and so then I kind of think that it, like, went in this wave of, like, negativity, and then there was, like, another wave where it was, like where it got more popular, but then it was, like, turned into something really sweet and positive. So, yeah, that was kind of, like, the whole thing with the tweet, and, I got interviewed by maybe, like, 7 or so, like, different news stations, and, a lot of people found it through the news who didn't see it on Twitter, and so I think it went viral on, like, all platforms, Facebook and Instagram too. Um, and I've just gotten so many messages from people like, "I do that too," or like, "My parents have done that and every day, and, like, that's the reason why they've been married for 60 years," and so I think it's so sweet, and it's been something that has, like I don't know, I think it's been something that people can look at and be like, "Oh, I want that one day," or like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that with my partner because it brings someone else happiness and that sounds fun." So, yeah.
Oh, I love that so much, and oh my goodness, it's just, like, amazing, like, how, like, you were able to turn this, like, moment where initially first you were getting, like, all of that meh, like, nasty negativity, and then you were able to, like, turn it into just, like, "You know what? I'm just gonna keep being myself and staying in my power," and then, like, it's just really cool that, like, it ended up, like, turning around for you and, like, just showing people that, "Hey, you're allowed to have joy, you're allowed to, like, have pleasure in your life," and yeah. Um, can you tell me a little bit about like why do you feel like this self-care is like rare and why do you think it sparked such controversy on your post and what would you say to somebody who had a negative reaction to your post?
I think that it struck so much controversy because I believe we live in a society where everything, especially like in America, where everything is so fast paced and we're always like, one, we're told that we need to make this amount of money to be this successful and we need to live like this and have the fancy yards and like the green grass and like it's this idea of this unsustainable lifestyle. And so everybody's just pretty much working their lives away to be able to create, you know, this lifestyle that isn't really realistic or, it's just expensive here and it's like people have to work extra hard to be able to even live, which I understand is, we all struggle with that. I think most normal people struggle with the cost of living and everything. So I think it struck so much controversy because people really work their lives away to be able to just survive, and I understand how people got mad about it, but when you look at it from a different perspective, I think that that kind of time with your significant other or even just with yourself to self-care totally is possible, but we prioritize other things in our lives like social media or drinking or TV or things like that that we personally just don't prioritize. So instead of waking up and getting on our phones or watching a show or whatever, we're just able to spend that time together instead of doing other things. So, yeah. And I think, as far as what I could say to the people that were doing all of that is I just think when you're exuding that much hate to other people, that comes from a place in your heart that's hurt. Because I truly believe that, everything that like we're all just mirrors of each other and something about me made them feel something about themselves, um, that was probably trauma from who knows when in their life, and that caused something. and cause them to feel that way. So I think that that kind of behavior just comes from someone being hurt. And I understand that and I have compassion for those people because truly they don't, maybe they know better, but they probably don't know any better. They're just dealing with their hurt and they're dealing with it like that instead of in other healthy ways, you know? So,
Yeah, definitely. And it's amazing that you can still like hold that space of like compassion and recognizing that, even though people have been really like nasty to you, and even though they maybe were projecting their own pain and grief and trauma and how they may not prioritize their own joy in their lives, and
mhm,
maybe don't know how to have that and whatnot. It's just amazing that throughout that you can still maintain that compassion as well. And
mhm.
I was wondering as well, like, that situation definitely seems really stressful. So how do you feel like it initially made you feel?
Um, I honestly, I take social media with quite the grain of salt. I try not to take it that seriously because it really isn't that serious for the most part. I have always had my notifications off. Like I just keep my social media notifications off so that my phone isn't constantly drowned in notifications. And so I was looking at it a lot just because it was so bizarre. Um, but I have a really good support system with my husband, and then his parents are right down the street, and they're so sweet. And so I feel like I didn't really stress that much about it because it's like it's just social media, it's just a silly little post. And I know that there was no like ill intention on my part with the post. And if like I can't control other people, so why stress about it? So that's kind of like how I took it. It didn't really cause me stress.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome that you can be like more detached from like something like that, and that you can just like really just maintain yourself in your own energy and in your own power. You seem like a very embodied person. And so I was wondering like if you can tell me a little bit more about like what practices do you do to like stay so confident and in your power?
So honestly, having a daily yoga practice has like changed my life. It's been amazing to just like, and meditation, but just to connect with your body and go inward and do what feels good inside instead of like looking on the outside and like doing the whole like compare and try to like mimic, because that's pretty much what we do in this daily life in our society is like we're always looking at other people and then we're trying to do what those other people do and compare ourselves to that. But there's something about yoga that is so personal and so intimate, and it just, I mean, we are yoga. We like yoga is union, and so it really is just connecting you to source or whatever resonates with you. At least that's how I look at it. And it's just really empowering when you feel that direct union through yoga, and it's just super grounding, and meditation too. um, I think it's extra helpful because I live in a yoga and meditation spiritual community, and so that's life changing, and I'm around spiritual yogis all of the time, so it's kind of created this really sweet little bubble around me all the time to where most of the people I talk to are pretty conscious and are pretty like into the same kind of stuff that I am. So I would say that it really helps, and I get such good advice from all of the people here and stuff. So that definitely has helped my confidence in my practice too. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was like shocked when you told me that like you're like, "Oh, it didn't really stress me out much." And that you're like so like grounded, and you just seem very like certain of yourself, and very much like, again, you seem like a very empowered individual. And yeah, that's super awesome that you're able to have like that strong yoga practice and that support system and just that community that is like-minded as well. Do you have any other routines or habits that help bring more joy and connection into your life?
Yeah, so I mean, when I wake up, I always spend time with my husband. Like that's my favorite thing to do as like a morning routine is just like wake up and spend time with my husband, and that helps with connection so much. And I think that's really what a lot of people miss is like that connection with their partners that's so important, before we get going and like go our separate ways and run, run, run. So, connection with my husband, personal yoga practice. I love like cooking too. And so that's like one of my favorite things to do when I get home from work is just like, okay, I'm just going to go in the kitchen and cook and it'll be all good. Um, and I think that's something that's like really grounding and like fun. Um, and I also like to make things like do little crafts or like make jewelry or like crochet or knit or something and like just create really like cute things. So, yeah, just little tiny habits that, like, make me happy. Also, lately, I've been enjoying, like, just taking essential oil baths and, like, lighting candles and just doing self-care, like, do an extra skincare step and take a bath, like, just little tiny things that you can add in your life that, like, take really no effort, but are just fun and bring you simple happiness, you know?
Wow, I love like how much gratitude that you just like really admit. Like, and it's amazing how like these little you allow these simple little things to bring you that joy in your life. Whereas for a lot of people, joy seems unattainable or they need something super expensive or something super grandeur in order to like have that joy. But it's amazing that just like these simple hobbies and habits and your yoga routine and your support system, like all of these things just like fill you up with that joy and that comfort and happiness. So I just wanted to ask you, um, because you and your husband also seem like you guys have an awesome relationship. So when did you guys create this garden coffee habit and like how has it improved your life?
So, we created it when we built our garden, which was I think in April, this last April. But well, that was at this garden, but years ago when we met when I was 18, so 6 years ago. And we actually lived with his parents for a few years, and his parents have coffee outside in their garden every single morning. And I never had coffee in a garden before, but um, we oftentimes brought our coffee out almost every morning, either with his parents when we lived with them, or we would just bring our coffee out when it was nice outside and sit in the garden. And it was so nice. And his parents actually gifted us a coffee table to sit at in our garden for our wedding. And so now we use that every day and do coffee in our garden. And sometimes his parents even come over, and join us for coffee in the garden. So yeah, it kinda started, like, 6 years ago when we were just, like, broke college students living in his parents' house, doing what his parents do. Um, yeah, and I just think, like, I'm a firm believer that, 1, grounding every morning when you wake up, just putting your bare feet on the earth is, like, the best thing you can do to ground yourself, and also, like, morning sunshine on your face has so many benefits, it's not even funny. So even for that reason alone, but the connection is just really amazing too. So yeah,
Oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't know it was like a generational habit. Oh my goodness. That is so cute. That's adorable.
thank
And
you.
yeah, yeah, it's awesome that like his parents taught you guys that too. And so yeah, so like I wanted to also ask you, um, like we live in this world, like you said, we live in this world where people don't really prioritize their joy or they feel like they don't have the time to prioritize their joy. So how would you respond to somebody telling you that you prioritizing your joy is privileged of you?
Well, I think we can take privileged in different ways, and in one way, I would say I'm absolutely so privileged to be able to because a lot of people can't, like, genuinely can't, and in that way, I am extremely privileged, I'm you know, to be able to just spend that time because it's very special, and I know that not a lot of people get that. But I think the privilege that most of the people online were talking about was privileged in a way that I have everything handed to me and that I'm just this rich person who doesn't have to work and has all this time, which, is just not true. Um, and so, yeah, I just think that I am privileged, but in not the way that people were explaining it to me. And I think that if people more so, I just prioritize different things, and I do work 8-hour days oftentimes, but I don't work till later, and then sometimes I don't get to have dinner with my husband, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like how you mentioned that you prioritize different things. And you're
Mhm,
right about how you mentioned, like, well, some people will wake up and they go on their phone for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes
mhm,
in the morning. And instead of that time checking their notifications, they can go like have coffee with their roommates or
yep,
go on the balcony or go outside or they can have basically the same simple joys, the same simple habits that you're having. And just, to me, what it sounds like is that you just have an extreme amount of gratitude for those more like simple moments where like if for example, if somebody else might have been doing that and their mindset wasn't as gracious, they might be
mhm,
more like, whatever, this is just whatever. Like they might not really be in that moment. So, what it looks
yeah,
like to me is that you're a very grounded, embodied individual that is grateful for the little moments. And yeah, would you say that having gratitude really helps with experiencing more joy in those simple moments?
yeah, I mean, I think gratitude is the biggest thing, and I think gratitude is the reason why I've been able to attract the abundance of this lifestyle, um, because I truly believe that success comes from gratitude a lot of times, and, abundance is a manifestation of gratitude, in my opinion, a lot of the times. And so I think just coming in with a grateful heart, there's nothing that's gonna happen from coming with a grateful heart, and a lot of times it does attract you what you really want, and I try to start every morning with that too, because truly we have so much, even though we don't have, much material stuff. I think gratitude for the simple things in life is what really matters, and I think we really live in a world where we've been so conditioned to be super attached to everything, especially like expensive things and showy things like nice cars and nice houses and, expensive bags and luxury items. And it's like, none of that stuff really matters. And if we could disattach from all of that and find gratitude in the simple things that make you happy, we might all be just a little bit happier.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like if we took more time to just like go back into our bodies, into our own energy, and just like focus on having the gratitude for the little things, then yeah, it does make that space for abundance and joy and all of those feelings associated with abundance. And now that you
Mhm,
mention it, I actually did run a poll recently on Twitter where I
mhm,
asked my audience what's the first thing they do in the morning. And over half of the people said that the first thing they do in the morning is that they go on their phone for some time. So I
mhm.
do like that you mentioned that, there is an aspect of prioritizing. What are you going to prioritize? Are we going to indulge in everybody's energy or are we going to maybe like indulge in our own energies? So I ran this poll and I just looked and it says it got 200 votes and 61.5% of people said they went on their phone first thing in the morning. And I definitely appreciate their honesty, but it does really show that like, that is the first thing that most people do in the morning. And so
Mhm.
I do like that you mentioned that aspect of, people prioritize different things. And it is also important to like go into our own energies in the morning and be more intentional with our days as well when we can be.
Mhm. I agree. And even 10 minutes on your phone is like when we think of it, we're like, oh, it's only 10 minutes. It's fine. Like, I'll get to it. But like, that's 10 minutes. You could literally just be, prioritizing yourself or doing a quick 10-minute meditation, which is kind of a long meditation, but, a quick 10-minute meditation and like getting ready for your day or listening to an affirmation thing. And just like while you do your just like this little amount of time that we're spending on our phones, we don't realize it's actually how beneficial it could be if we just transfer that energy we're putting there and putting it into something actually valuable.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And what's interesting? I believe I read the other day that like when you first wake up out of bed in the morning, that your brain is actually in an alpha state, which is
Mhm.
like your brain waves are still kind of mellow. And so the first like 15 or so minutes that you spend on an activity, it like gets ingrained into your subconscious. So like, I do notice it in myself too. Whenever I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is check my phone, I have a more ungrounded day. I'm more anxious throughout the day. And I'm also not in my body as much. And I think it's the fact with like, you know, when I go on my phone, it's on social media, and social media is like filled with everybody else's energies and everybody else's ideas and opinions and people telling you what to do and how to feel. So I really like that you're making a point of definitely being more intentional with like putting that energy like into ourselves in the mornings. And how do you feel like that can change somebody's day if they were to be a little bit more intentional with their mornings?
I mean, like you said, our like it's literally proven that like what we put our first activity that we put into our brains is like what gets ingrained for the day. And it's totally true. Like I swear by I love the it's the Abraham Hicks morning it's called Morning Rampage by Abraham Hicks. And every time I listen to that, it's just constant, like super repetitive morning affirmations. But I swear when I put my phone away and listen to that or something like that, or prioritize yoga in the morning or anything else, my day is so much better. I have better conversations with my clients. I'm less irritable when it comes to my husband. I don't get, like irritated over little things. But when I wake up and my morning routine's not done, like I swear, my whole day is like I'm kind of irritated and like I'll lose my keys or, just like little things like that. And it's like, wow. I mean, that alone just shows. And in fact, even though I said, like, it didn't stress me out, like, all of this stuff didn't stress me out that much, I lost my keys twice this week, and I think, like, subconsciously, even if we don't feel like this stuff is affecting us when we're, like, looking at our phones all the time, like, it is affecting us, Um, and, yeah, I think if we can just prioritize spending just at least 10 minutes on ourselves in the morning, I mean, it'll set you up for absolute success in your day. And if you end up facing, some complication in your day, it'll help you deal with it way better than if you were the other way. So,
Yeah, yeah, I love the point that you made there. And actually, I did just look it up. And so alpha waves are like the waves where your brain is like awake. But when you first wake up, your brain is
mhm,
actually in a daydreamy kind of state, which is theta waves. And it stays there for about 5 to 15 minutes
mhm,
while you get to reality. And then it goes to alpha waves. But
mhm,
I do like that you notice like a difference in your own life, how when you aren't as mindful in your mornings, it's like, the day gets kind of weird, or you lose your keys, or just like kind of weird stuff just happens, or maybe you're more irritable or whatever it is, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. How do you feel like intention is correlated with how we start our days?
I mean, I think intention has pretty much everything to do with how our day ends up being, and how our day ends up manifesting. How the rest of our day ends up manifesting really has to do with our intention in the morning. Um, and I think we're magnetic beings, and I really think that we often attract what we intend, if you must, like, and so, if we're setting our day up with stress and we're constantly getting online and we're seeing what people are posting their problems and like all this stuff, we're more likely to attract more people honking at us, getting angry in traffic, and cutting us off, or some kind of conflict with a coworker, stuff like that. But when we wake up intentional and choose to wake up with gratitude, spend time connecting, all of that, oftentimes I'll notice like, oh, someone will come up to me and like give me a really sweet compliment, or my client will like tip me more, just like little things like that. That's like, huh, like that's noticeable and that's totally like crazy, but it's just like simple law of attraction that is like so real, you know? And it's so funny because like sometimes I like to test the universe a little bit and I'm like, I'm gonna like wake up and like do this thing and just see how, just sit back and see what happens. And like every time it's like, yep, you started with gratitude. Here's some abundance. Here's some blessings. Like I got you. And it's cute. Like it's cute. It's like a little game you get to play with like the universe, like, okay, like I see how it is. Cool. And I think if you think of it without attachment and with like a light heart, I think a lot more comes to you, instead of just being super attached to like, I'm gonna do this meditation and I'm gonna have a good day. It's like, we're just be happy, and I don't know. I think but yeah, I think that the morning times is definitely very important to set yourself up for how the kind of day you want to have.
I love that. And I love how like you're like giving some advice here for how to be more intentional. So another
Mhm,
poll I ran was I asked people how they could establish a healthy morning routine. Like what do they need more of? And
mhm,
56 people voted, and 51% of people said that they wanted to be more intentional. 30% of people said
mhm,
they wanted to wake up earlier. So
mhm.
yeah, that's why like I was just really curious about also like just how you're able to be more intentional. And yeah, I have to ask, uh, it is such a huge societal problem in today's age that people are so deprived of joy that your
Mhm.
routine was seen as a privilege. So what advice would you have for somebody that's struggling to find more joy in their daily lives?
Well, first, I would say to take a look at your life and see what's not bringing you joy. And if we really take a look at our lives, there can be a lot of things that we do every single day that actually brings us lack of joy. And that could be social media, that could be certain people we follow just because we feel like we need to follow them, that actually like make us mad. And it's like, okay, that doesn't bring me joy, let's unfollow that person, or let me just delete my apps for a few days because it's making me feel stressed, or oh my god, like this friend of mine or family member of mine is not bringing me joy and I feel obligated to keep that connection. Don't keep the connection. Not that you don't have to keep it forever, but just like disengage from that for a little bit. um and first, yeah, just get rid of the things that don't bring you joy, number one. And that way you can fill those spaces with things that do bring you joy. And I think it's really important to create a sustainable life of joy versus like temporary things that bring us joy. Because sure, like, material things, oh my gosh, they make me happy. I got a new purse, I got a new whatever, but that high of happiness that comes when we buy something material only lasts for so long before it's just normal again, right? And so I think creating things that you can do every day that is sustainable, that you could eventually do your entire life, um, is the most sustainable way of being able to achieve joy, whether that be having coffee in the morning with your partner, or taking a bath every single night with candles, or gratitude journaling, or doing 10 minutes of yoga, whatever that is for you. But I think that the things you choose to bring joy should be simple instead of super complex. Um, so it becomes sustainable, because I have seen people where they're like, I'm going to make this huge change in my life, and it's going to make me so much happier and all of that, and then they try to do all of the stuff at once, and it's not sustainable because it's not something that people can keep up with forever. So I think choosing one or two things that make you happy every day, that don't really cost money, is the key to living a joyful life. My neighbor just turned on her music really loud, so I'm going to close my door. Okay.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And just like how like you mentioned that like, it's really when it comes to experiencing joy and focusing, prioritizing joy and pleasure in our lives, it can be very simple and practical. Like it doesn't have to be these large things, or we don't have to have these expectations. I'm gonna be happy when I do X, Y, and Z. It's more so, yeah, like asking ourselves, how can we be happy in this present moment? Okay. How can I prioritize my happiness this week? What is one nice thing I can do for myself? What is one kind thing I can do for myself? Like, what are the things that motivate me, that make me experience more pleasure in my daily life? And how am I going to implement this with my daily schedule? Like, I love how you're also elaborating on more about how to make it like a part of your schedule instead of like uh once a month kind of thing too. Like, no, I'm going to incorporate this into my schedule and my everyday life. What are like one, two, or three things that bring me joy, that make me happy, and they don't have to cost money. So yeah, yeah, I love your perspective on all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so did you have anything else that you wanted to share with us today?
I don't think so. I just really want to encourage everybody to just do things that make you happy, and also I think something that I would love to like tell people too is like, we don't have to work jobs that, make us feel horrible and bring us, completely down. It's not like everybody can have a job that makes them a ton of money where they don't have like all this freedom, but I think that a lot of times people feel like they're trapped, in one situation, and I have felt that way because I've worked a lot of jobs that I absolutely hated just because I needed to pay my rent. Um, but I think all of the hate from all of this really comes from lack of joy and lack of, compassion, but also from hurt and from, slaving away at jobs that make you unhappy. And that can also be one of the things that you can get rid of in your life, is the job that makes you unhappy. Because there's a million jobs out there that will pay you more money and give you more freedom. Um, and that also is kind of a privileged thing to say in some ways, but I think that and anything's possible for anybody. I truly believe that. And I think that people need to really believe in themselves more, because everybody deserves better than to be unhappy. Everybody. Um, and so I think if people, there's always something, a job you can work that'll make you happier if some job you're working is making you, you know, super unhappy. So I just encourage people, like, if they have to quit their job and get a different job, then you're not stuck. Nobody's stuck. Um, and also just love on yourselves a little bit more, because I think when you lash out at others, the reason why you lash out at others is because you're not loving yourself enough, and you can't love anybody else unless you love yourself. And so I think self-love is a huge, huge thing, and something that we all need more of. Every single person in this world needs more of it. But when we love ourselves more, we love other people more, and then everybody loves each other more. And so I think that's truly the key to this life on earth, is just love. And yeah, I just encourage everybody to love themselves more and give a stranger a compliment, because it's just those little things that make the world go round, you know?
Yeah, how do you suggest that people implement more self-love into their daily lives?
I think affirmation cards are great. My best friend Tiffany, she's so cute. I always go into her apartment and she has these little post-it notes with like sweet affirmations about herself all over her room. And I always admire that. And I don't do that, but I always admire that about her, because I'm like, that is so cute. And like, that's just something she does that helps her love herself more, and which I absolutely love. So you could do that, or like we talked about earlier, just take away the things that don't bring you joy and add more things that do bring you joy, because you're going to be overall happier in the end, and you're going to love yourself a little bit more. Um, yeah, and so I think really joy, finding things that make you happy helps you love yourself more. And just affirmations, there's so many different kind of affirmations that you can do with yourself and for yourself, whether that be writing post-its. I love like affirmation music. That's really changed my life. I listen to Beautiful Chorus. It's like this really amazing, like, I wouldn't call them a band, it's a chorus, and they have a whole album on self-love affirmations, and I play that all the time, and I play that in my office with my clients, and it just makes you feel so much better about yourself. And then you'll find yourself loving yourself more, and then giving strangers compliments, and just like, it's this beautiful thing. So just go inward and try to ask yourself and feel what makes you feel best, and then do that. Everybody's different. There's no right or wrong answer. So, yeah.
Yes, I love it. That was amazing, amazing advice. I also love how you said there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to self-love and how people implement it. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think we're done here. I want to say thank you so much for being here with us today. And where can people reach you at your socials?
So Twitter and Instagram are Lil Plant Mommy. So yeah, those are my main pages. And then my business page is the Holistic Esthetician. So that's where you can find me for my business or just personal. I love making friends, and I love obviously having clients too. So yeah,
Okay, awesome. And you're located in Sacramento, right?
yeah, in Sacramento, California.
Okay, awesome. So you hear that, guys? If you're in Sacramento, go get Daisey's services. Daisy has such an awesome, fun-loving kind of personality. So I'm sure she would just like totally make you feel at home, because that's honestly what this podcast has felt like. Like you're very homey and cute. So yeah, I hope
Oh.
that yeah, I hope that you always feel that way too. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, Daisy.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been so sweet chatting with you. I appreciate you so much, and I'm just sending you so much love.
Thank you.